Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Triplet Double podcast. My name is Isaiah Hernandez, your host, and thanks everyone who's been following along, listening so far in this journey. We're about 13 episodes in, over 300 plus downloads. So thank you all who have been supporting and listening to the podcast, not just through the podcast platforms, but also on social media at Triplet Double. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. So this week, I have another guest, of course, because this is always my favorite time about the podcast is when I can speak to other triplet parents. And so I've been having the pleasure of interviewing and getting to know triplet dads across the United States, and it's been awesome. And this week I have Jeremy out of the Orlando area. So Jeremy and I had connected through the Triplet Facebook group, the Triplet Dad Facebook group. And, I had posted an episode on there, and he had reached out letting me know, like, hey, I'm interested in being on. Him and I had our introduction call, and we had a very insightful conversation. We learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about Jeremy and his family, and he had some key points that he wanted to bring awareness to, which I thought was very important, that isn't talked about enough. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me today, Isaiah, on your
Of
podcast.
course. Welcome,
Thank
man, and happy to have you. How's your day going?
It's going pretty good. Got the kids off this morning to daycare. That's
Okay.
always a fun, exciting morning. Um,
Always a big routine. I'm
all
sure, right?
with all
Yeah.
three. My daughter, she's the ringleader of the bunch. She's a diva herself. She doesn't get her way. The morning can go downhill really quick.
Yeah. That's how it works. If one of them is unhappy, then it can really throw off, everything.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, you and I connected on our intro call, and I think with every guest, not I think, I know for every guest that I have on, what we normally do is we like to learn more about your triplet journey, about you and your wife, what that looked like from beginning all the way to where you're at now. So, if you don't mind, please share with us a little
Ah,
bit about yourself.
all right. So with me and my wife, we got married at a later age. Um, I won't say the age because I don't want my wife to kill me if when she sees this.
Hey, good call. Good call.
I would just say above the age of 35 to be
There we
safe.
go.
Um, and we had the conversation about kids before um, we got married. And for me at the time, I was indifferent. If I had kids, I was happy. If I didn't have kids, I would have been happy no matter what. So I was just like, we can do whatever we feel best when we want to look at this kid route a little bit further. So we
Hmm.
we tried for a couple of years. We talked to her OBGYN, and they actually funny. He was like, "Y'all should have been starting about a year ago," just because of our ages at the time. But my
Yeah.
wife, of course, she didn't want to be pregnant for her wedding, for the wedding, so we pushed it back a little bit. Then we started really trying after the wedding, and we were not very successful at first. We kept trying time in the course. Um, Tried many different measures to make it happen, and we got to the point where we had to really consult another doctor, IVF doctors as well, to see
Hmm.
what could be the reason going on, how we're going to handle this situation going forward. And we found out there were some issues, not issues, but with most women at our age and as males myself, we found that my wife's egg reserves were low, lower than expected. So the doctor said that's going to make it even harder to have a child naturally, and because of that, we need to start looking at other ways to help assist us to maybe to start our family. And we tried the IUI method.
Okay,
Um,
so you guys did do IUI first?
yeah, we tried IUI
Okay.
first, and that didn't. That we tried about 2 or 3 rounds of that, and that
Okay.
didn't get They got expensive. It starts getting expensive, and our doctor's like, you know what? Let's just jump to the IVF route. Um,
Okay.
we went the IVF route, and I was very fortunate at the time with my organization, my company. They offered us a stipend for fertility support. Um,
That's awesome.
yes, and many people don't
Yeah,
get
and
that.
really
Oh,
helpful, right? Because yeah.
because we were literally scratching our heads of how we're going to pay for it. We were hoping the IUI route worked because that was, I think, the most expensive round. That was maybe $1,500, and
Hmm.
that's doable. That's just a couple of less shopping sprees, go shopping here and
Right.
there. A couple of that's a less one less beer at the bar one night or at dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
stuff like
You
that.
can budget that. You
Yeah,
can definitely budget that, right? Yeah.
exactly. But when you start talking about the more advanced IVF stuff, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars. And I don't know about you or anyone listening to the podcast. Even though I'm more financially secure at my age now, I still don't have tens of thousands of dollars just to sit
Y-
around just
Yes, yes. Yeah.
to drop.
No, I think we're all with you. Yeah, I think we're all with you on that. Yeah.
Exactly. You start talking that kind of money, I'm like, um, I have a checking and a savings, but
Yes.
neither one of them had that many zeros in it. So,
Right.
we
Yeah, so that's huge that that your company was able to,
ex-
help out with that because again, like I don't think, I mean, we've talked about this with other triplet dads, but yeah, that cost for fertility treatment, it adds up.
exa-
And it's just it's like so unfair, I want to say, you know what I mean? Because it's just, you know, you shouldn't have to pay that much to, be able to have children, right? Especially with if it's out of your control, like, you know what I
exactly.
mean? So,
And
yeah.
I have a couple of another friend who's going through the same thing as well, and
Hmm.
we just talked about it with her too, and she and her husband, and they're just like, it's ridiculous the hoops they make you jump through just to have children, and it's
Yes.
not fair that if it's something out of your control, you can't help what you're born with,
Hmm.
and it's not covered by most insurances. So
Hmm.
it made us really look at where we can go. And my wife even took up an extra job, a part-time job that offered fertility benefits to help us bridge that gap. And we did that. We used her benefits at first, and it took a wear and tear because she's a full time teacher, and then she would get off of work and go to this part time job on top of trying to do all the fertility treatment, and that's just a lot on a person to try to have a child, and she did it for about a year, and I was fortunate enough landed a job that at a very large company that offered the fertility benefits, and I told her like, stop working a second job. I got the fertility benefits now. We'll use mine.
That's good.
And it was a very hefty benefit. In addition to the fertility benefits itself, it also helped with if you need adoption, egg donation, any of those things.
Wow, that's
They
awesome.
give you
Yeah.
another $20,000 per um, event, and then that total you can do that up to twice, so a total of $40,000, which is very helpful. And
It is.
that really helped us out tremendously, and we were able to really get the help we needed to make our family dream come true. Now, once we got all the help we got, and it was funny because my company got sold, and I was able to get the benefits before we switched over to the
You
new.
sold before.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, we were
good.
like, there was literally like the end of 20. So they were born in 2024, 25. So the end of 2023, 24, somewhere around there. I was like, we gotta make a decision. We gotta do this because
Yeah.
if we don't,
Yeah.
my company's getting sold, and I'm going to
Yes.
the other side, and they're not having fertility benefits. So we need to get this show. This,
We all know how these mergers and acquisitions can go, and
yeah,
they're not always the smoothest. More often than not, it ends up being a pretty ugly merger than they promise, right?
exactly. So we were pushing last in the 2024 with 2020 into 2020 into 2023 into 2024.
Okay.
So we were pushing. We got done. We did as we did. We decided to go the IVF route
Okay.
for sure.
How was that conversation?
It was a pretty simple conversation. We
Okay.
at our age, we knew that we didn't have much time, and we both came with a hard limit. We're like, I'm not trying to have kids after the age of 45.
Yes.
So if we keep pushing it back, keep trying to IUI, keep trying all these different routes, then we are going to get to that age. And I just didn't want to be pushing 64, 65, and my kids just graduated high school, and neither did my wife. So we
Yeah,
wanted
that
to
makes sense.
have some time to enjoy with the
Yeah.
kids because life isn't guaranteed. So, and as you're getting up in your 60s, your time is
Well said.
winding down. So I
Well said.
wanted to push, get it early as I can, so I can enjoy some of the adult years with the children. Hopefully, I live to be 100 or more, but
Right.
reality in the world says that's chances of happening are not very high. So we really pushed forward and was like, okay, let's get this done. And my wife
Did you? Sorry about that. Go finish your.
and my
Go
wife
ahead.
was on
Finish.
board with it too. We both were on board with it. We didn't want to be older, like really. We're already old, but not really, really old parents.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Totally. Yeah, I think you obviously because again, we know how you got to be a little active, right? Especially with the younger kids, like toddlers and stuff. Like, yeah,
Exactly. And
yeah, you just can't sit down, right? They're gonna be running around everywhere, so
yep.
you got to be able to go
And
get
then
them.
with that too, we also looked at the issues with our age too. With there could be complications, and
Hmm.
if something the child were to have an issue, say going forward, we didn't want us to be old and leaving that child at such a young age or
Makes sense. Yes.
at 20 years old by themselves.
What was the journey for finding a fertility doctor? What
Ah,
did you guys shop around, or did you like was it kind of like, hey, this is was did your work have like direct access to one that they used? How'd that go?
so it was it we so we started out with a place here in Florida called Brown Fertility. That's where we started with the IUIs and all that type of stuff. Wife was we were decently having them, but no, we didn't get no good results. So we switched to another doctor down here, the reproductive center as well. Down here we went there. That's where we started our original IVF journey with them. Um, Things went good, were going well, but we found out that our insurance they had two different entities. One was for the preservation and the joining of the egg and sperm that they didn't take the insurance and that was out of pocket. So going back to the money thing, that was I think it was about almost $10,000 out of pocket, and we were like, "Oop, brakes real quick.
Mm,
We
yeah.
we not going to go that route." So then we looked. I looked into my network, and we decided to go back to Brown Fertility, and they were in a network, and everything was included in that
Okay.
process. And so
Good.
we went back there, and we tried one in April of 2024, and that we tried one. We got so we once we did all the eggs, got the eggs and stuff. We, if I remember correctly, there were five by no there we had 12. Five made it to the Blastocyst stage. I get all those terminology confused. And then we actually had three that were good to go after
Hmm.
everything. So that I think it was in March or April of 2024. We
Okay.
decided to we tried one of the eggs. No luck the first time, and that was actually our highest graded egg. I think that was a B something. All the all the terminology for the egg, so it was B plus plus or whatever, or BBB or AB something like that. And
Yeah.
we did that egg, didn't take. So that was a rough shot to us. So we decided to wait a couple of months. And if people not familiar with fertility, you still have to pay for the storage of the eggs once they have been inseminated, and so you got to pay for them frozen. That's a yearly fee. And
Oh, okay.
so that's can range anywhere from 500 to I think thousands of dollars. I think we were right around $1,000 for the yearly cost. So we waited to end of July, to try again,
Okay.
and we only had two eggs left. And funny story, we go in there. I'm like, we're coming up on our time to have to renew our freezing thing, and just doing the math. I'm like, and we're pushing up against that hard deadline of age that we're talking about of having kids. Um, so we're like, we talked to our doctor, and most doctors won't put two in, but we were like, can we put two in this time? And he was like, you know what? Sure, let's just get the two in. The chances of two taking are less than, I forgot the number, but it was very low. So we were
Okay.
like, perfect, let's do this. My wife's still doing all her shots, and I'm giving her giving her shots, but she did get good towards the end. She was able to give her own shots. So, which is hard, and people talk about the shot. That's a lot on the female themselves because it's dealing with your hormones. Hormones are all over the place. A lot of different issues. So much respect to the women who out there who go through all the IVF and are giving themselves shots, having their husbands give themselves shots, and just being able to
Hmm.
deal with the emotional baggage and the hormonal issues that go along with that as well. Because it's a lot on them, and having
It is. Yeah.
and,
I can imagine. I can imagine. Right.
and just
Like
to having to read.
just. Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No,
And
I was just gonna say, like, I 100, like, I can only imagine, like, in the end, from what I've read and what people have shared, um, and I mean, it's not even like not just physically that you have to go through all that, but also like just like mentally and emotionally. You know what I mean? Like, I
yes,
just yes,
and then the having to rearrange your schedule because with those shots you have to give them the same time each day. So you could be at a restaurant
okay,
at 7 o'clock at night and it's time for that progesterone shot or whatever shot it may be. You got to go in the
oh
bathroom,
really?
set up your little kit, and give yourself the shot. So it is a lot of work. But we went through it. So my wife was continuing to giving herself those shots. We go back and her numbers, she had to go back in like a couple of days afterwards and get her, I forgot the name of it, but it's to test to see you're pregnant. And the funny,
Okay.
they tell you not to take the that home pregnancy test. But if you tell somebody not to take that test, what happens?
Do
Oh,
you
they're good
remember why they? Do you remember why they say not to take the at-home pregnancy
because
test?
you can get false positives,
Okay.
and they want you to come back and I can't remember the time period, but get the actual blood work done. And my wife got her
Okay.
blood work done the first time. It was like at 1200, and that's super high. And they're like, there could be twins there, and her
Oh
numbers were
wow.
they're doubling, 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 doubling.
Yeah.
I think the last test she had, it was like almost over 9,000. It was crazy, and we're sitting there
Jeez.
like, oh, there's definitely twins in there. So we go once. I think it was like 5 weeks in, we get the first ultrasound. She's pregnant with twins. My facial expression was like, ah, okay. So both of them take, and the doctor sat there was like, it was less than 25% chance that less than five, both eggs would take, and twins. He's like, this is crazy. He was like, but
Yeah, he was surprised. He was like, wow.
yeah, he was like, in my 25. So no, this is not 25 years. So we have twins. He's like, okay, both eggs took. Okay, I'm like, I'm talking to my wife. We tell a couple people, I'm like, we're good. That's man to man defense. You got one. I got one.
Yeah.
We got it. I'm a basketball
We got it
coach.
covered.
Yeah,
We got it covered. Yeah.
I'm a basketball coach, so it was one of those things. I'm like, we can man this. We can man up with this one. We got it.
Right.
So
Right.
we go back. We 9 weeks later, we're doing an ultrasound. Doctor goes and says, "There's triplets." I thought I almost had a heart attack. One of the
So you got so they did the first they did the was it was an actual ultrasound they did at 5 weeks. Is
yes.
that what? Wow. Okay. Okay. So that yeah, that's really early for obviously an ultrasound. Um.
Well,
So they weren't able to see the third or
no. So with IVF, it's the timing is a little bit different because you got to
okay.
think about the egg has already been inseminated. So when you're originally when you're pregnant, when they inseminate the egg, I think that's like week 3 or 4 already.
Okay.
So you're a little bit ahead of the game when
Make
because
okay.
all the stuff has already been put together. They're just putting the eggs and see if it attaches to the uterus. So you're a little bit ahead of the
Gotcha.
game. So 5 weeks, it's the whole. If the math is confusing, I tried to sit there and
Hmm.
figure it out a million times, and
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry. You don't need it. Don't worry. You won't have to explain it on here. We won't. Yeah. We won't hold it against you.
The doctor's like, this what it is. I'm like, got it, perfect. So
Yes.
we went in. At 5 weeks, got the ultrasound. They saw two, and then week 9, we go back. There are triplets. I almost passed out. I'm like, excuse me, what did you say? How many? I'm like, you need to go back in and look again.
So Do you remember if they had? Yeah, again, like you go in. I mean, you're already thinking, "Hey, it's twins, great!" Like you know what I mean. And then you have a 4 week or 3, 4 weeks from that first ultrasound to the second one, to where you guys are already kind of like game planning. Like, all right, we got twins. What are their names going to
Yeah,
be? What are they? You know what I mean? Like you have this
yep,
whole like in vision, and you start daydreaming about it, right? It kind of be
yeah,
like, this is
100%.
awesome. Like, what is it all going to be, right? And then, but I'm just curious. Like, do you think they just had missed it because they were so small,
No,
or did they explain
they explained.
what happened?
So the boys split, the one egg split. So the two boys are
Wow.
identical twins.
Wow.
The egg split at some point between week 4 and week 9. It split, and that was that. So we went in, and the doctor was like, told my wife, like, "You're a unicorn. In my 25 years of doing this, I have never ever seen this happen."
Wow.
And it was just crazy. And so we were on our track with triplets at that point, and we were going to the doc. My wife was going to the doctors every was it every 2 weeks, especially with the we had to get
Yes.
once we so after a couple of weeks we I think it was week 12 we graduated from the fertility clinic and was seeing her OBGYN solely.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense. So when I don't know if this is like a and you may not know the answer, and that's okay. But so if you do IVF, is it something that's common for all IVF patients to do the fertility, like for the first 12 weeks,
Yeah.
strictly be seen?
So from
Okay.
talking to my friend who's going through the same process, she's pregnant now. Um, so they saw their fertility doctor for like the first 12 for 13, 15,
Okay.
somewhere around those number of weeks.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
they want to make
I can see
sure that
that.
everything is moving along. Then once they give you the A-OK, you're good to go. You're definitely pregnant. Now everything looks good. They release you to your OBGYN.
Makes
And
sense.
and then from that point, your OBGYN takes care of your care. From that point, you don't see the fertility doctor again after that. And when you start seeing your OBGYN, they start doing all their tests and their ultrasounds. Then you're going in every 2 weeks. And with being a triplet pregnant, multiples in general, it's a high risk pregnancy. So we got referred to the high risk doctors within the practice itself, and that was where they do more detailed imaging,
Hmm.
and you're seeing them like every 2 weeks. And so
Yeah.
with
Yep.
them, I went with the I went to the high risk doctors with my wife for all those appointments. Her regular OBGYN appointments, she was seeing them. I didn't go to them because just with time, you're trying to save your time for
And
when you
yeah,
need.
the parentologist, which is like the high risk
Yep,
the high risk doctor, they're the ones, that's the most important one to go to. I mean,
exactly.
obviously if you have the luxury to go to the regular ones, then of course go. But I do think, like, without a doubt, you got to go to the parentologists and speak with them, because they're the ones that will do all the measurements. They're
That
the ones that understand everything about the growth, and they're the ones that specialize with high risks, and they can break down everything you need to know. So yeah, that I agree. That's the one for
exactly.
sure to put your time into.
Yep, that's what me and the wife decided. Like, don't come to the OB. And even her doctor, he was an older guy, and he was funny. He was like, Jeremy, don't come to me. Don't come see me. He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, you need to go to the high risk with him. I'm just here,
He's
just
like, yeah,
monitoring. I'll be there the day of the delivery. I'm just here monitoring to make sure everything's okay. But the high risk is the one you need to see, talk to.
makes
So
sense. Yes,
I went to
yes.
them all the time, and so we went there nonstop. And one of the good things with us was that with the Dodgers, they were very caring and understanding, and they were very happy with the sizes of the baby for them being triplets at the times. And then we'll go back. So we went in, we kept going in,
Hmm.
and then come December, and so her OB/GYN was very adamant about that. She's like, "You're going to be on bed rest by mid-January. There's no
Oh,
way
really?
because the due
Yeah.
date was April the 10th, and
Okay.
that's the for a 40-week delivery was April 10th, but they were
Yeah.
trying to get her to mid-March.
About like what, like 34 or 35 weeks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
around
makes
that
sense.
32 to 35 week period they were trying to get her,
Okay.
but her doctor's like, he's been doing this for I think like 30, 40 years. He was like, you're going to be on bed rest come mid-January until you have those babies. And she was like, my wife was like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to be a bed rest. I'm going to. And it was so funny as we kept getting closer and closer. She was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it. I don't know if I'm able to make it. I'm getting bigger. My feet,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
feet hurt. All this stuff going on. And so we started getting to November Thanksgiving time period and stuff. But my wife started getting this really bad cough, and it wouldn't go away. They told her to take some special cough syrup for pregnant women that are pregnant. She was taking it, but it wouldn't go away. We Other issues were coming up, and then right after the Christmas, we went to see the high risk doctor again,
Hmm.
and my wife we did some. They took her blood pressure, and her blood pressure was through the roof, and the cough was still present. And the doctor this wasn't with the actual this appointment wasn't with the doctor. It was just for measurements. And the ultrasound tech, I think that's what they call.
Yeah.
She reached out to the doctor. And no, my wife asked like, "I'm not feeling right. Can you do my blood pressure?" And she took the blood pressure, and it was super high. And they weren't planning on
Mm.
doing the blood pressure that day because it was just a measurement. There's like we used to come in and do measurements. And when the
Hmm.
tech saw how high the blood pressure was, she reached out to the doctor, and the doctor started looking. I was like, "That is about once y'all get done here, I need y'all to go directly to the OBER," which was
Oh man.
so the hospital. So the, the high risk doctor was on one street, and the hospitals are right around the corner, less than a block away, about 3 blocks away. So we went
Okay.
straight to the OBER, and they started putting on the monitors, all those leads that measure the baby's heartbeats and all this stuff. And we're sitting there, excuse me, we're sitting there talking to him. And then the doctor came in. Her doctor didn't come in, but one of the doctors from their practice was on. And my wife, to this day, she's like, I can't stand that doctor. She's like, she was so mean. She was so mean to me. And she's like, she told her, she's like, um, you're going to be having this baby within. No, first the doctor came in and said, um, okay, we found out she had preeclampsia, which was number one, and she had pulmonary edema.
Yeah.
So it was a double whammy. So the first doctor came and told us like, well, you're going to be in the hospital until you had these kids. And my wife didn't want to hear that, of course. This was like the 1st of January. I looked at my wife. I was like, Dr. Boone was right. You're going to be on bed
Yeah.
rest by then. And
Jeez.
and so the first doctor was being very optimistic. They were trying to get her to, because this time she was at 24 weeks, 26 weeks. She was at 26 weeks, and they were trying to get her to at least 30 weeks. At this point, they were like, we want to get you to 30 weeks. We want to get you to 30 weeks,
Right.
4 more weeks. And the babies have a very viable chance of living and no issues. So we get there. So then another doctor comes in from the same practice. She was like, you're going to have this baby the next week. My wife was like,
Oh wow.
she was like, I don't like that doctor. She's like, I was
Yeah.
mad. She's telling me this stuff.
Yeah.
It's because she had preeclampsia. She had the pulmonary edema, and it was causing issues for her and the
Yes.
baby. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
this was a Thursday or whatever. This was the day, January the 2nd. So I think it was a Friday. So Thursday or Friday. So we go. She stays in the hospital that week up on the high risk ward. Um, I'm staying there with her all weekend. We're just going through the motions. Like, okay, this is our home for the next 4 weeks or so. Even though I'm thinking it's going to be a week. My wife is
Hmm.
praying it's 4 weeks, and
Yes.
so the doctors are coming in telling us. And I think it was I was still working at the time, so that Sunday actually go home. Sunday night I go home so I can work from home today because I work from home anyway. So I go home to work and try to get some work done because I can work in the off at the hospital, but
Hmm.
I don't have my whole setup there, and it's a little bit it's doable if I have to do it. But if
Yeah.
nothing's going on, I'm like I'm going home and work so I can get some actual work done and not
Yeah.
really just get work done. So it's a little bit easier on myself. So I go home that night, stay home. That next day around 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, I get a hysterical call from my mom. not mom, my wife, saying something about my my blood pressure's not dropping. We're having the babies tonight.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I'm like, I'm lost for words at this point. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I was planning for 4 weeks. I'm like, so I guess I'm gonna be a dad tonight. Tonight
Yeah.
it's going down, no matter how I like it. So I'm calling my mom. My buddy was down here with me as well, and told him to go grab my mom. And this is happening at 10 o'clock tonight, 11 o'clock tonight. I get down to the hospital around 4 or 5, so I'm finishing up work. I'm like, I'll be down as soon as I finish up work. I call my boss. I'm like, Derek, babies are coming today. I'm not taking my paternity leave right away because I knew at 26 weeks I knew that they were going to be in the NICU, and I knew that I could, since I work from home again, I could work from the hospital. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm gonna take off these 5 days this week just to be with my wife and make sure she's okay, and be with the kids. But I'll be back to work next Monday. I'm probably working from the hospital. And my boss was so cool, and my VP at the time, they were super cool. They were like, Jeremy, work where you need to work from. We don't care. Um,
That's good.
and my boss was super great. He wasn't giving me crazy projects at the time. He was just like, I'm gonna give you these projects that I know you can knock out, but it's not gonna take a lot of your time up. He's like, the babies are first, your family is first. I'm just gonna give you like these to help people out on their projects. That's pretty much what I did for like the time.
Okay, that's good.
It was
Yeah,
super
very
cool.
fortunate.
Yeah,
Glad. Yeah, glad you had an understanding company
yeah,
that
a
you know.
100%. And so that helped
Yeah.
out a lot. So I get down there, and me, I'm a jokester. I'm making jokes at my wife. As I get there, she's not trying to hear my jokes at the time. She's,
I can imagine, right? Yeah.
I mean, cause I don't know if you see the movie Van Wilder.
Yeah.
I'm like, life is where is like a rock.
With Ryan Reynolds.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, where is like a rocket chair? It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. And and that's my outlook on life. Like I can sit here and worry about what's going to happen to kids, but
Yeah.
at that point, I'm not a super religious person, but at that point, it's in God's hands at this time. At this time, the
Hmm.
baby's coming early. There's not much I can do. What's going to
Yeah.
be is going to be. So I got to worry about once they're out. I got to take over from that point and do what needs to be done. So
Hmm.
we go around 10 o'clock. They start wheeling us down. My mom is out in the waiting room, and as I'm driving down to the hospital, I'm calling her dad out because her family lives in Vermont. I'm like, Sean, Sheena's having the baby tonight. I really need you to be there. Like, I will help pay for the tickets, whatever needs to be done. And he's like, and she has a younger brother who's a senior in high school this year too. And we were sitting there. He was like, let me see what I can do. He called her sister up. Her father and sister got a 7 o'clock plane from St. Albans, from Burlington, Vermont to Orlando, Florida. They got here. They didn't get here till like I think maybe 1 or 2 in the morning because they had some delays,
Hmm.
but they made it, and they made it.
They made it. Yeah.
They made it here, and they stayed for that
That's
week.
good.
So cause I had my mom here, and she needed someone here to support because we both, excuse me, she lost her mom at a young age to breast cancer. I think she was in her 20s. I had lost my dad. I had lost my dad, so he wasn't here. So both of us are down one parent, and my mom was here,
Hmm.
and I felt it was very important for her to have at least somebody here to give from her family to give her support as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah, that's important.
if there were any issues with her too, I don't. I know a lot, some stuff about her, but her dad knows and knows way more than I do. If something was to go wrong, he would know more information about her past history, about growing like
Mm.
anything. You know what I mean? Just so that extra sense. So I'm not to call him up and say, Sean, what's going on? This is what's happening. Did she have these issues? Blah blah. He was there, and so he could tell him she had this, she had that stuff I wasn't aware of, that wasn't made aware of.
Mm.
And like even with much about your spouse as possible, but it's some stuff that as your kid growing up that you didn't even know probably. So
Yeah. 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 Some things. Yeah. Some things definitely don't always make it to the table, right? And
yeah,
you know. So yeah.
so like you forget about stuff, or you're just too young to remember, and
Hmm.
your parents just forgot to tell you about it. So it was great having
Yeah.
him there for that part of it. So we get wheeled down around 10 o'clock. We go in, we sign the papers. Me being a comedian again, I'm making all the nurses in the operating room laugh. finally started to get my wife to laugh as well.
Oh, good. That's good.
uh,
Laughter is a good form of medicine if if the person's willing to take it. Yeah.
exactly. Because my wife like, you never take anything serious. I'm like, I gotta make
Yeah.
people laugh. That's me. And so we're talking to the nurses. I'm cracking jokes, and I will tell you, apparently the doctors knew that she was going to have this baby. The doctor was right that she was having the week, and all the doctors knew this, that she was going to have this baby that week. And the night she had that Monday she had the baby, that wasn't that was the hospital's on call staff that were delivering. And she literally, it was so funny. She said, we were talking to the doctors like, we've been planning this all weekend that you were going to go in labor, and we called in the A team. So they had like the best anesthesiologist,
Good.
the best what the nurse anesthesiologist that's on call. Like they only call this lady in when stuff is about to go down. And the funny lady
Yeah.
come in, she has this like expensive like vest jacket on, like she.
The way you're describing this woman is she is the wolf from
Yes.
Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction,
Yes.
when things go when things go
Yes.
badly, you call the wolf and he comes in.
Yes. And like
Yeah.
the doctor who delivered the head doctor, it was two residents and the head doctor. The doctor who was on staff that night was the doctor. He doesn't work at a hospital. He works at
Mm.
all the hospitals in the area because he's the one known for being able to contort, turn
He like
babies.
floats.
Yes, he knows. He's the one
Yeah.
they call when the babies need to be to be flipped around or anything like
Wow.
that. Anything is big. He's the guy they call. So top line doctor in Orlando. Shout
Good.
out to Advent Health Hospital, real quick, Orlando. They were amazing. So they call their A team in. So
Yeah.
we go in. They go take her back first. They get me all suited up. They would give her suppository. Not suppository. Oh my god. No, they got babies. Give her epidural. Not suppository.
I was
Epi-
like, whoa, what's going on? What?
epidural and stuff.
There we go.
And of course I'm making jokes. I'm like, you gonna take an epidural? What you? I'm like, man up. She's like, I'm gonna kill you as I get off of this.
I was like, you got a very patient, understanding wife, man. Because yeah, my wife would be, I would have been strangled right there.
So we're sitting in there and we're going through stuff. They finally bring me in. And some people told me not to look over the curtain. Some people say look over the curtain. So
I
we're
didn't even know that. I didn't even know you had that option. I know I didn't have that option. I
I
mean, not that I don't think I even asked to look over the curtain. Well, regardless, there's so many things going on in your
yes.
mind,
Oh
right?
my
I mean, so I can't even. I don't even remember if they were ever like even said anything. I think they probably just automatically just assume like, hey, you don't. He's not going to look up over there, so he's just going to sit down with his wife. That's not going to be in of interest.
so yeah, it's crazy. So you're in this room, and since it's triplet, you know it's like the room is not huge, and you got like a team for each triplet. You got a respiratory
Yes.
therapist, a nurse
Yes.
practitioner, and some other people, a nurse. So it's like 20 people in this small room,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, there's blood all over the floor. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I wanted to be a doctor before, but then I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is a whole nother level of
Yeah.
craziness. You got the nurse statisticians back there, the anesthesiologist. So we're in there. First babies come out back to back, 11:47, 11:48. They take them, put them under the heater, get everything, checking their vitals and stuff. And we're sitting there, and they're like, we're done, we're done. All babies are out. And me being nosy, I stood up a little bit and peeked over and saw everything there. And I know why people say don't look over the curtain because you have everything just laid out right there, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, man.
And
Whew, I can't. Yeah. So you looked over. Wow.
yeah,
Whew.
I was brave. And my wife,
Did
go ahead.
Did she notice? Did she notice you looked over?
No, because she had lost so much blood,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say she's. Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
shaking. She was having a lot of issues, and she had to get a lot of blood during the time period
Yeah.
to help keep her stable. And
Yeah.
that was another conversation we had to have about whether or not if she was gonna if she was gonna crash, what should we do then? Those are hard conversations that you have to have during that time period.
Wow. So
So
they kind of. Yeah. There's so many conversations that happen and
yeah, that you run.
nothing's guaranteed. And You're talking about delivery at 26 weeks.
Yes,
Like that's just in itself is just,
the baby
I can imagine how scary that is.
exact 26 weeks 4 days, and they had the babies come out, and luckily, the one baby, so the girl is the oldest. She came out. She was 2 pounds 7 or 8 ounces, I think, at birth. And
Oh,
then
okay,
then
good,
one of the boys
good.
came out. He was 211, and the last
Wow.
boy was 19. So they were happy about their sizes. They were
Yeah, I mean that's pretty incredible because 1.9 was my daughter baby B was they were at 34 weeks. She was
uh,
at 1 pound 6, I think it was 6 ounces. Yeah, she was either 6 or 9 ounces. I think she was 6 ounces. And so the fact that you get 26 weeks, you had two of them almost 3 pounds, like not almost 3 pounds, but they
yeah,
were on the higher end of
yeah,
2 pounds.
yeah.
Great, so those are really good weights.
Yeah, so that and the doctors been saying it the whole time, like they were worried about the babies, but it was like we are happy with their weight. So if they come early, we're not. That's the least of our worries. Their weight.
Okay.
They were like we're happy with that. So the babies come out, they take them right to NICU. I stays down with my wife and help and just make sure she help soothe her because
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
going in and out of it.
yeah.
And then they stitch her up, and they go take her to the room, a recovery room. I stayed with her a little bit longer. Then I think I got to see the kids around 2 or 3 in the morning. At that point, I was exhausted. Have been up.
Yeah.
I have been up since God knows what time. Um, and so we finally got some rest, and then I got to see them again. And my wife had a really hard week. She lost a lot of blood, so her hemoglobin was really low. So they keep giving her blood through the week. She was really out of it. She had a rough time for the first couple of days in the recovery. So she didn't see the kids for like 2 or 3 days, and
Oh
she
man.
and she because they gave her that magnesium stuff that makes you feel like,
Yeah.
and so she had a rough go at it, but she pulled through. I contribute the weight of the kids to her full carb diet she had during pregnancy. I'm like, "Are you gonna eat anything besides carbs?" No, that's all she wanted. She ate her carbs like crazy. So I guess that gave the kids the weight. She didn't get gestational diabetes or anything, but she had a rough time afterwards, and it was touch and go. Her hemoglobin levels were super low, and they had to give her lots of blood. But she came home that following Monday, and I want to say thank you so much to the NICU nurses at Advent Health. They
Hmm.
were Orlando. They were amazing. We still talk to them to this, some of them to this day. Um, the doctors were amazing. Always kept us in the loop. Um,
It's awesome.
we knew, and we were fortunate with the kids. None of the kids had any brain bleeds or anything like that.
Oh, I know that in itself is like that's so scary because I
Yeah.
think especially when they're that little, that's like the biggest risk when
Mm,
they're that tiny is like the brain bleed. I believe like
yep.
I remember that was a big thing for our baby B was we just want to make sure no brain bleeding happened for her
Exactly.
because she was under 2 pounds. So yeah,
No,
that
no.
was always kind of my thing. I was like, oh man, please let everything be okay.
Yep. And then we got a shout out to the Ronald McDonald House, which is right across the street from the hospital. We stayed there for about 6 months because we had a total of 181 days in the NICU. Baby A, which is the girl, she spent 120. Baby B
Wow,
spent 150, and baby C spent 180. So they came home a month apart from each other. Um,
wow,
but I will say we had no real issues while in the NICU. The biggest issue we had was baby C, the smallest. He had all three had PDAs and retinopathy, and the other two A and B's cleared up on their own. Baby C did not. He had to get his PDA closed, and then he had a little bit of a hernia, and he had to get a. For him to come home, he had to get a feeding tube, and he's still in the feeding tube now. But
okay.
other than that, there were no issues. There were no really issues. Like I've heard horror stories of babies being in NICU. We always had a very clean um, stay at the NICU, and the babies came along very well. So there was no issues. Because baby C actually he was able to eat, but he's aspirating to his vocal cords a little bit, which we think has cleared up now, and we're going to get tested again. But in order for him to come home, that was the only thing keeping him back from coming home is feeding. So they said
Hmm.
come home on a G tube, then he can come home then. But other than that, we had a very easy, clean NICU stay, and thanks to the
That's
nurses
great.
and doctors at
Yeah.
Nick at Advent Health Orlando.
Yeah, the NICU team, man, you can't thank them enough, right? You can't
No,
thank them enough. Yeah,
because I
definitely not.
I was skeptical because
Yeah.
I'm being from Maryland, and Maryland's known for having some of the best hospitals in the country. I'm talking to my
Oh,
wife the
yes.
whole time, like, if these hospitals in here don't get it right, we're going back to Maryland. I'm gonna go to where I know things are gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And funny, one last thing about her pregnancy was that even though her doctor didn't deliver the babies, he came in a couple of days after. He came the day after she had the babies, and she was viable. And told him like, if it wasn't me, and she's like, I would never tell him this, but I'm glad that he did it. He did a delivery outside of me. So he gave even her doctor did it, and actually her doctor was he retired right after she had the babies. Her doctor did, her OBGYN.
Oh, wow.
So it was like everything, but he was like,
Yeah,
he's glad. She was like, I'm glad that he delivered those babies out of everyone. So it was pretty
that's
cool.
good. That's good. Yeah, that's such an incredible pregnancy, man.
Yeah.
26 weeks over. We're talking about over. All of them were over 3, 4 months in the NICU.
Yep.
That's just, man. I don't. I mean, we can go on and on about how you and your wife were able to handle that. I mean, thankfully you had the Ronald McDonald House. That's awesome. So you're able to stay near the hospital all at all times,
Yep.
right? Was that was the whole point of that? Okay,
Yep. And then
nice.
I would come home sometime. My wife stayed there all the time. I would come
Okay,
home just so I can get some work done,
yeah.
and just to check on the house. And I would stay home like a night or two a week. And as we got further out from that, I would come home. I would go down mainly on the weekends to stay home during the week, and she would stay down there all week long.
Wow. Well, hats off to your wife, of course, because that was I can only imagine how hard that was going from especially doing the IVF all the way all to the delivery of the girls and then or the triplets and then the recovery. Like that recovery, I'm sure, like you said, took her a couple days after the cesarean to
Yep.
fully kind of get back up and running.
And I don't know how if they would have sent her home a day or two after, and the kids were not in the NICU, and how the shape she was in, and the kids, I probably would not have been able to do it by myself. Three kids, her not being able to,
No, no,
it would have
no,
been,
no, no. Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
big,
I don't know how you would have. I don't know how anyone would have been able to. Right?
yep.
There's
And me and my wife
yeah.
say to this day, like, some people might look at it strange, but we're like, the NICU was a blessing for us at the same time
Yes,
because
yes,
it gave us an opportunity to learn how to take care of our children, their needs, and be able
yes.
to still get stuff because they came so early. We weren't all the way together, get stuff together, and still take time for us to get out, learn how to be parents, and being able to stagger came home even helped out even more. And like even before the first one came home, we did a staycation really quick in Orlando at one of the hotels.
Hmm.
Got massages at a spa. Went out for one night, ate a good dinner, stayed at the hotel down there, just to get ourselves ready before the one came home. So the NICU
Yeah.
really, really helped us out. I'm not saying they're babysitters, but it helped us really get our life organized, helped us really be able
Yes.
to take that time to take a breath because that was a lot. That 20 coming at 26 weeks and having all the issues that my wife had, it's give us that extra set of hands that we needed at the time.
Yeah, you're spot on with that, and I don't think you worded that wrong or anything like that. Because I think, of course, like I don't, I think people could like. I understand if people may be like, that's weird. Like, why are they such a blessing, right? Like, the NICU, because obviously that's not always a great. It's not a great sign to always be in the NICU. But when you have multiples, um, it's just it is what it is. It's more common. Like
Yep.
it's just the facts. Like twins, triplets, and more are going to be born prematurely. Like they don't make it to the full 40 weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
So they are born prematurely. And when you have a situation where they're especially preemie, 26 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
that's their only place for survival.
Yep.
There's nowhere else. You know what I mean? They sent you home with 26 week babies. Obviously we know the outcome's not going to be the same. The NICU
Exactly.
is the safest place. And it's not to take away that obviously you guys wanted the non-NICU, like of course in a
Of course.
perfect world, they're
Yep.
not in there, right?
Y-
Yeah, and we don't need to explain that. I think everyone knows, and I think a lot of multiple parents will understand that. They get it,
Yeah. And we would.
and singletons will too.
Yep.
So
And you're there. You're there every day, and we're there every day and stuff. But you still need a break yourself because it can be a lot. And it becomes
Hmm.
honestly it becomes just a routine actually. Wow, you're like going to that NICU, we go for these hours a day, grab some dinner, go back. If I wake up at 3 in the morning, I might walk back over from the wrong McDonald's house, go check on them
Hmm.
because as a parent you have access 24/7 to the NICU floor. So you
Yes,
just go through there, hang out, and like I said, the nurses become like your family because they know everything. They'll start talking, they know
they
stuff
do.
about you, you know stuff about
Yes.
them, they know more about the baby and stuff like that. And even we got so spoiled to the point where we knew that when they came home, two of the boys had to go back to the hospital for RSV a couple months ago, and my wife was so used to the NICU nurses doing like feeding, doing the changing and stuff, and we took them to the hospital around local, and the nurses weren't doing it. And me and my wife talking like, the NICU nurses the NICU nurses actually knew the babies better than we knew them at that point because they are there with them 24/7, and they know like what their curves, what they do. Like now we know them more than the nurses at the hospital do. So the nurses at the hospital are more there to give us a hand and do the
Hmm.
medical stuff, but the feedings and all that type stuff, the changing, we that's better for us to do because we know them more. I'm like, and she was like, "You're right." I'm like, "Yeah," because like think about it, we're there at the NICU as much as because we had to work and so forth, but those nurses in the NICU, they're there. They know way more there, and that's why as you move further along in the NICU process, they want you to get more hands on with it because so that you understand your baby as well. Because starting out,
Hmm.
there's no hand, you can't touch them for the first.
Yeah, when they're that, especially when they're that tiny, yeah,
Yeah,
you're not
like
gonna be able to touch them
first
for a
week or
little
two.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they know more about their likes and wants. So it's one of those things you got to understand, and people don't get it if you haven't been through that NICU experience of how that transition happens from you not knowing your child because you can't really give care to them until knowing your child. And I would say like by the we were there for with the oldest one for about 4 or 5 months. By one month and a half in, we got to know her, started knowing the kids really well. The baby C we didn't touch for a little bit longer because he was on the jets and all that stuff. But the other
Mm.
two, we were able to hold more, so we got to understand them, what their needs, what their dislikes were, how to feed
Yeah.
them, what's the best way to feed them. Like the boy B, he likes to gulp his food down. So and the nurses start giving you hints too as you're going along. So that whole process is very helpful to help that adjustment from not knowing the baby to knowing the baby and being doing 100% care. Because we had one nurse, we would walk in there at the time and be like, she's like, "Dad, do this, Dad, do that." I'm like, "Huh, what's going on?" She's like,
Yeah.
"Dad, you're here." And she wanted you to be hands on. So when you knew when you walked in there, it was this because at first I would go over to the NICU and do my work at the NICU hospital. Because I was not really because they were in the incubators, I couldn't touch them really. And then as we got further along, it was no work. When I went over there, I knew like laptop was stuff put away. It's all
Hmm.
hands on because they want you involved.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they definitely do a good job of like easing you into it. Yeah.
Yep,
You know what I mean? Like helping, get the routine down and, doing it yourself and figuring all that out
yep,
because obviously they're not going to raise them.
yep, 100
Right.
percent.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So hats off to the NICU. We love them.
Yep,
Um, always will advocate for that, for the NICU team. Now, that so I gotta say thank you for sharing the triplet pregnancy, and I think people are just going to be amazed to know. And I think it's something about there's something to it to be able to share like the 26 week to where you guys are at now, and to let people know that these pregnancies don't always work out the way we plan them to. Like they don't. Not everyone gets to make it to the 34 or 35 weeks. No, and things come up and you can have these babies honestly at like any time, right?
yep,
Like, you know what I mean? Like as you're going through this. So to be able to hear a successful 26-week story is good for a lot of people out there who may be in a similar boat or who are, kind of maybe facing letting them know that, there's a positive outcome in this.
yep. Because they even said that like even 20 years ago, 26 weeks that'd have been it would have been a very high likely chance you lost the babies at 26 weeks.
Hmm.
Even 20, and you think 20 years ago is not that long ago. That's still the
It's
2000s.
not. Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
so it's really amazing how far medicine has come since in the last 20
Yeah.
years.
It is. Yeah. They've done a fantastic job in really helping, helping these preemie babies,
Hmm.
survive
Yep.
and thrive. So it's awesome. So when you and I did our introductory call, we had discussed a few things, and I think one of the things that you had really, to me, hit the nail on the head is that we are, as a society, we are kind of getting into this, not kind of, we are getting into um, this pattern for parents that we're getting older and older as couples are beginning to have their first kid, and we're seeing this really in like early mid 30s is kind of what we're noticing, just because the I think we can look at cost of living, we can look at all of these things that add up to keep someone financially secure where they're not living paycheck to paycheck. And you're really just noticing that, like, hey, a lot of people are having children later in life, and not only that, but they're having them later in life, but also like the fertility issues are have increased. Like 20 years from now, or 20 years ago, that fertility, infertility has risen, and we don't know all the contributing factors. But going into what we were saying about how society has just really pushed it to where, hey, you got to have kids. Like, really, financially, you're not ready to have kids until you're in your mid 30s,
Mm. A hun-
right?
100%. And it's strange. It's crazy that it's like that because you think about our grandparents, our great grandparents, they were having kids and they're pretty much right when they graduated high school or 18, 19, 20, they were having kids back then, and which and they might have had five, six, or seven. As our society has changed over the years, now we are is push go to college. Okay, you go to college, you graduate 23, 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're just one of these genius kids and finish in 4 years, or like myself, wanted to enjoy college a little bit too much, and you only have
Yeah,
five.
you did a frat lap. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You gotta enjoy your time there. So you're
Yeah.
23, 24 when you graduate college. So then you get your first job, and you don't have the money to really even barely survive. And I was watching something the other day, listening to something the other day. It was saying something like kids under 30, it was like 65% or something, still live at home with their parents. So you can't afford a house.
Yes, 30 is like the new.
Exactly.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how you explain it. I don't know if it's like 30 is like the new 21 or what, but yeah, it really is, because I mean, a lot of my friends, and this is not to knock them. This is not knocking them at all. It's just the fact that financially it makes sense to kind of stay with your parent, especially depending what state you're in. It's like,
Exa-
okay, well, I can be able to save up and get my own house. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that's kind of where we're at.
And then it was like 30 people with 30, it was like 35% of them are still living at home with their parents. It was some crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And I remember having this conversation with my dad before he passed away years. This is probably when I was in my like 25, 26. My dad was always getting on me like, you need to buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. And I'm like, he's like, you don't need to live with roommates. You need to buy a house. I'm like, Pop, I cannot afford a house. I'm out
Hmm.
of college back then. I'm making maybe 45, $50,000 a year. A house is 170,000, $160,000 back then. I'm like, Dad, I can't afford to buy a house. He's like, well, if you stop going out so much, I'm like, no, and then you can do it. And then he looked. Then one time he went out and we looked. He's like, oh, you're right, Jeremy. So when you can't afford a house, so now you have to wait. Say if you're lucky in your third, when you get to 30, you might be making close to six figures at 30. But most people are not, and then you get married. So then you say you get married at 27, 28. You and your wife work a couple of years to establish yourselves. You're looking at 32, 33. Now you're finally ready to have kids. You have your house. You're making decent enough money to support a family.
Yeah.
And then people have this fantasy in the world. I think society has done this to us too. We from since elementary school. Oh, don't have sex because you might get pregnant. Thinking it's like it happens just like that.
Hmm.
And it's not it's not as easy as people as the books make it seem, or how we were taught as a
Yeah.
kid. Like you have sex and
Yeah.
then boom, the girl's pregnant. No, a lot of things have to happen, and
Yeah.
that whole process is not as easy as it may sound. So then, if you're lucky, it happens in the first go. If it's not, then you're still trying. And then, as we know, as we get older, for male and female, the quality of the woman's eggs go down, the quality of male sperm go down. So then that's another issue to throw on top of it.
Hmm.
Plus the million other all the other researchers out there that's saying why it's happening. So there's
Yeah.
so many battling aspects of it that now you're in your 30, mid 35 now, and you're looking at IVF because
Y-
all these issues are going on.
Yeah. I think it's like, yeah, I think our country and even you look at the rest of the world, obviously the birth rates are significantly down.
Yes.
Like no one's having children. No one's having as many kids as they were, 50, 100 years ago.
Yep.
Like that's just not how it was. I mean, you can look at all the declining birth rates everywhere. US as well. I think the US was like for I think it's like 1.5 children, I think,
Mm,
per like household is what they're at
something
now.
like
And
that.
that's
Yep.
like that's very low compared to what it was uh decades ago.
Yep.
And then you can look at the other countries, of course, like we all know what's going on in Japan, their birth rate. And so you just we're just not the world is not set up for us to be having children at in our prime. I'm gonna use quotes our prime birth years, right?
Yep.
Like that's just or yeah, we're just not there, and that's just not how it's set up. And so yeah, like you said, time goes on, you work, go through all these things in life, make your money, go through stress, different stress
Mm,
levels, different balancing acts that you're going through, and then you're in your mid 30s, and then you guys are running, and you potentially not everyone, but a lot of people are running into these issues where hey, we're struggling to have a baby. Like we're struggling and just looking at what the I just have I'm getting this from the CDC.gov, but from when we look at the infertility data for the US, and this is for 2015 through 2019. I don't know where the latest is as far as like what's 2025 is from the CDC, but we can see that the infertility from women ages 15 to 49 is around 13.4%. So you can see a little bit about that. And then for the Cleveland Clinic, they shared a little bit about male because we know it's obviously both parties have a play here, and male infertility is on the rise. That's 100% a fact. And you can look at how common is male infertility. Infertility affects 186 million people. This is from the clevelandclinic.org. Infertility affects 186 million people worldwide, and the male partner is the cause in about half of the cases. Some studies show that male infertility affects about 10 to 15% of males in the United States who are trying to conceive. And that just helps a little bit more that it's not a taboo thing. Like a lot of people are going through this,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of people may not be comfortable sharing it, which I'm glad you're on here talking about it a bit about your guys' journey because I think it's good for the community to understand that it's so like this it's out of our control and nothing to be ashamed of, and it's totally understandable if you're not wanting to talk about it, but just know that there's conversations like this happening to help hopefully build a community.
Yep. Because I know even with myself as a male, I when we started doing this whole fertility thing, I had to get tested for my sperm, and at the time I have low testosterone, and so my doctor had put me on testosterone therapy. Is that a factor of it? Who knows? And while trying a fertility thing, I had to get off my testosterone because that can cause even more issues. So it's so much like from the male's standpoint, there could be so many issues. So we really don't know. And just from my personal experience, I my numbers work fine, but I still had to get off my testosterone, which causes other issues as well. So you're like, I
Right.
don't think there's a one we can put a nail right on where the issue is. It's
Yes.
everywhere, all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. And yeah, a lot of these There's a lot of and you can follow a lot of these fertility clinics, and they share a lot of great
Yes.
information on there, and they'll explain a little bit more about like the science behind it, the medical terms behind it, which is awesome because I'm glad that they're doing that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just important to bring more awareness to it and
And
just let everyone know,
yeah,
like, hey, you're not alone.
and the fact that more insurance companies are not, or I should say, insurance companies and companies are not offering fertility benefits is a disservice to everyone across the board, because the finance or reverse out of that fertility treatment isn't a feasible option because of the cost. Either something has to
Hmm.
give. Either companies got to start offering more, or they have to. And I'm pretty sure we probably do have the technology to make fertility treatment more affordable to the masses. Because
Hmm.
we're running into this issue, as we said before, people are having children at a later age, and I personally don't see it going back the other way because
Yeah,
we're such a
I
career
don't.
driven society. You got to be a career person. You got to make this money. You have to be the CEO of this company, and that's how you're successful. That people gonna keep putting it off, and it's just sad that the resources aren't available enough for people who really deserve and want kids to have children.
Yeah, and yeah, I 100% agree. And there's just like this whole thing is such a big, I don't want to say issue, but it's such a it's a bigger discussion because there's so many things that we can go on and on about, like child health care,
Hmm.
you know what I mean, all these different things, like taking care of the kids we already have, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean, like,
the
and
rabbit hole.
helping, like, there's a whole rabbit hole you can go down under, and we don't have enough time, but one of these days we can, do a part two and dive further. But yeah, it's just, you just don't, I don't think it's spoken about enough.
No,
It's not, like, you're not seeing this covered very much on on the major news networks. It just depends on, the
and
time when it happens, but yeah.
And I think because it's more of a taboo subject and people are not
Hmm.
comfortable enough to speak
Hmm.
on the subject. And I've talked to my friend who's going through this, who's successfully pregnant now and was going through it. And she really wants to write a book about it, of all the issues and the different problems. And my wife does too, of what people go through just to have a baby when they're going through IVF. Because it's not a straight, easy line. There's so many loops to jump through, and insurance makes it difficult. Because you got to make sure that certain things are right, said the right way, and how things are coded all counts. And it's just a lot. It's sort of like I want to compare it to like a wedding. Whenever you go to a place, say you're getting married, you go to a hall and you say, "I'm getting married." They automatically add $20,000 to the price. But if you say I'm having a gathering or a party, it's only 2,000. Same thing with
Hmm.
fertility. You say I need blood work, okay? But as soon as you put fertility in front of it, it skyrockets when they say no, or the insurance says no. But if you
Mm.
say the doctor say I'm just getting regular a blood panel, it goes through, and they have to word it this way just so that if you don't have IVF insurance and they can get it taken care of, paid for through the company. So at least someone help you out some way to get it paid for. So it's just crazy how
Yeah.
you can compare it to a way like you put the name on it, it there goes the price jumps up, or they're gonna say no about it. But you say something else, just having a regular preventive medicine blood work panel, oh, it's good.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. No, I mean that there's definitely truth to that for sure. Did you and your wife, did you guys have you guys been part of any, like, I mean, this is just for other people who may be going through IVF. Did you guys find any helpful resources online or communities that kind of helped,
Yes.
give more insight?
So we looked at joined a lot of the Facebook groups of like IVF, and one in particular was like IVF July July group, something like that. So people who had their eggs implanted
Oh,
in
okay.
July, and they all keep up with each other throughout the year when they have the
Any other
baby.
triplets?
No, we're the only triplets in that group.
Oh, really?
We're the only.
How many
I
people are in
want to
that group?
say there's like 60 or 70 in there.
Oh, wow.
We're the only
Any
trip.
twins?
I haven't kept up with the group as much as my wife does.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you're gonna have to ask your wife about that. Yeah.
So everybody's pretty much had their babies already. So now it's more of a they don't dismember the group. They what they do is it's just more for updates, just to people
Just to keep
keep
in
in touch,
touch. Share.
getting together
Yeah.
pictures, struggles they may be having. So it's more
No,
now
that's
it
good.
becomes more of a community type thing, which has been awesome. I'm a research nut, so I stay like when we were going through this whole fertility thing, I'm like looking at all the doctors and see who has the best fertility rates. Do we need to fly somewhere to go
Hmm.
and make sure that they are the right person? So I did a lot of online research.
That's good. You should. Yeah, I definitely need to.
And that's the thing people don't understand is the information is out there for you. And you have to be willing to put in the work and the effort to get the information because it's there. It may not be in black and white, but you can if you dig deep enough. The CDC, the Cleveland Clinic, the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, all those big hospitals have information around IVF and fertility treatment. And I forgot the website that tells you um, each of each doctor's success rate or clinic's success rates of live births and at what age, but it's a website that gives you all that data, and
Nice.
you have to really just look into it and just make your own informed decisions about which doctor to use, which clinic to use, which IVF is best for you. Is it IUI? Is it IVF? Is it donor eggs? Is it donor egg and sperm? Because there's a donor egg and sperm out there. If both there's issues on both sides, you can get donor egg. Someone might donate the egg and sperm for you to use. And then there's the other complications go along with it. How do you tell it to your kids? So there's a lot of resources and counseling out there to help you navigate this whole IVF thing because it is a lot, and
Hmm.
you need support from wherever you can get support to really make the most informed decisions and to make sure that you're comfortable with the outcomes if it's a good or bad outcome.
Well said. And Jeremy, I appreciate you coming on, just being able to share the 26-week pregnancy delivery, to be able to share your personal thoughts on the matter and be comfortable talking about infertility because again, I think we need more discussions around it. It is something
100%.
that people need to be aware of and understand there's a community behind this. They can have a place to connect. I will let people know if they have any questions. I will let them know that they can reach out, and I'll be happy to connect you with anyone that may have follow up questions from this conversation.
100%.
Any last words of advice or anything you'd like to get out there to other triplet parents or
Yep.
people going through pregnancy?
First thing is that with people going through IVF, I understand it's a struggle. It's a journey, but at the end of the day, uh, the journey is worth the reward. And make sure that you and your partner are on the same boat, and have those open, candid conversations about what you expect, how things are going to go. The second thing for my triplet families out there, we're all in the same boat. It can some days are good, some days are bad, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's all fun. And I know personally for myself, I wouldn't give this up for anything in the world. Um, at this point in my life, it's my highlight of my day seeing them come home from daycare, and my wife says my daughter is like in love with me. I'm the only one she'll do anything for. And it's funny when I walk in the door every day, she sees me, she's like, oh, she hears my voice, she starts smiling, like, it starts jumping around to see me. So that
That's
makes my
awesome.
heart rejoice.
Yes.
And my triplet family, we're in a struggle, but it's a great struggle that we should all be proud of being a part of and support each other.
Well said. Jeremy, thank you again for coming on.
Thank
I
you for
love the
having me.
conversation. It's been awesome. For everyone listening, make sure to keep following along on social media. I'll be sharing some clips from this podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube at Triplet Double. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you all next week.